This is the Surly Grognards for February 12th, 2018. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I am doing fine.
Most excellent. So, we have a topic this week, which we'll get to in a moment.
I don't believe you.
It's astonishing. But I will say, Jonathan Sims sent us a very interesting topic, which I will probably paraphrase what he wrote instead of just reading it all the way through because it's lengthy.
Right.
But it's definitely interesting. But before we start, I just want to do a little sort of talk. We haven't done a show for a little while. So what you been up to gaming wise recently?
Let me see here. There's been trucking away with 40K. Played a really fun game of my Orc Speed Freaks versus Black Templars. Really fun opponent. Got my ass kicked by Killed Grimaldus, so moral victory. I wouldn't really say I got my ass kicked. I got tabled, but he had like 3 bikers, a Storm Raven, and a limping Leviathan Dreadnought left. So,
yeah.
And I was ahead on points up until I lost all my guys.
I see.
Let me see here. Other interesting gaming stuff I've been doing. Finally got around to trying out 7 Days to Die with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think I like it very much.
That's fair.
It's a little too heavy on the annoying survival mechanics. Like, dude, all I'm doing is sitting here chopping wood. Why do I have to worry about my fucking stamina bar?
Yeah. And that's one of the things I like about it, is the survival mechanics.
Yeah, I expect more leniency in letting me do stupid shit in my games.
Sure.
So,
it's a survival game, so I mean, that's the...
Yeah, it's a survival game, but it's... I like survival horror games, particularly when they have a good story behind them, like, say, the older Resident Evils or the Silent Hills and whatnot. Like, that's all part of the overarching story that they're trying to tell you, and is wrapped up with the weird, all the weirdness. When I'm just trying to make a fucking suit, a pair of pants, I don't have to worry about my fucking stamina bar.
As I said, I totally understand why it's not your cup of tea. That's fair.
Yeah, it's just it's hung up on on just a few of the too many personal irritants I have in survival games.
Sure. So. As I said, that's totally fair.
It was, however, lots of fun hanging out with you guys, chatting while I sat there chopping wood for 2 hours.
Well, it's definitely a game that's better with friends. I agree completely.
Yes.
But yeah.
It's not even an interesting fucking, animation. Why do I have to spend stamina to cut down a tree?
Because it takes stamina to cut down a tree.
Yeah, when I'm in my meat body, but I'm sitting here at my computer drinking and smoking.
At any rate, yeah, I've been playing a fair bit of 7 Days multiplayer, and I do enjoy it. But yeah, I could totally see why someone wouldn't. I get it. Like, I totally get it, Eric.
It's just yeah. I mean, if it was a little more lenient in what it allowed me to do, I'd probably really enjoy it. Because I like the idea of like building a base and constructing my gear and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Also, Jesus Christ, just the walking is so slow.
Well, that's why you run.
Which uses stamina.
Yes. It also raises
I actually
your
don't
skill.
mind the running uses stamina, but the fact that I am likely running from something that's bigger than my head, and I've already spent most of my stamina trying to beat it into submission.
Yeah. I don't know.
In other words, I hate stamina bars.
And that's fair. Anywho, so yeah, I've been playing that. I've been noodling and maybe found an angle on. I've been noodling on, as always. I sort of noodle on ideas to put together a approachable for players who are new to the system fantasy hero game.
Mm.
The big stumbling block for me is I haven't been able to settle on a magic system that for the players that I think I like and will work and will seem at least somewhat familiar to the players.
Right.
So it's like, and I think I've got one, but it's gonna be a lot of work on my end.
Right.
It's gonna be a lot of working out, stuff and writing it up in a way that's not just the way it's written up in like the hero system designer, which lists out like all the mechanical details of the power and how it's built, as opposed to just telling you what it does. Which I'll say this: a hero designer, if you understand a hero system at all well, what it shows you is entirely. I mean, it's the way
it shows you exactly how it all clicks together, which is cool. But there's no like brief little blurb that says this does this.
Yes.
And instead, it's like Entangle 2d6 for like with these limitations. Which, if you were familiar with this, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I got
that. Makes perfect sense. If you've never played Hero before, you look at this and go, "This is gobbledygook."
What the fuck is Entangle? Why is it 46?
Yep. So it's gonna take me a little bit of time to work it up. But I think I might actually have a long-term project thing I'm going to be working on.
Cool. I almost picked up Star Trek Adventures on Sunday.
Ooh.
But I had other more pressing financial concerns, so that had to go on the back burner.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this off stream. It's not important.
Not important for the subject at hand.
Right. So at any rate, But
yeah. Let me see. Other interesting game things I've been doing. I'm playing STO, whatever. I finally got my Bajoran Escort.
Neat.
It's neat. It's not a D4X. That's its big problem.
Not much is, Eric.
I know. I kind of found the perfect ship. At least for me. I've been seriously looking at picking up Warhammer 2. Warhammer Age of Reckoning. Not Age of Reckoning.
Total War.
Thank you, Total Warhammer. We're just going to call it Total Warhammer. Because Skaven.
Cool. Oh, Bardic DM in the chat says, fellow campaign world builder, you have my sympathies and wish you best luck. I have to say, though, I'm now glad I've yet to invest in Hero. Okay. I'm going to say this. I don't want to dissuade anybody from checking out Hero System. It is rules. It is definitely a rules heavy system. And there's a very good reason for that. It is a universal system that is designed to allow you to model basically anything. This is simultaneously its greatest strength and its greatest weakness.
Yes. Hero System is a system you look at and is daunting and intimidating and terrifying. And then you play 2 sessions with someone who knows what the hell what they're doing, and it all clicks together and makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I will say
2 sessions, but
I will say, it depends entirely on your mindset and what you're good at. Also, like Hero System, I did not find daunting myself. I am not a typical gamer, though. I will freely admit this.
Yeah.
For instance, I played a lot of Starfleet battles. I've played a lot of very complicated, rules-intensive games over the years. And I got in the habit of at one point I was really in the habit of just reading rule books. Oh yeah, I'm aware 6th edition is a bit nutty. I have not invested in 6th edition Hero System myself, Bardic DM. I'm there are a bunch. It's got a boatload of books, and they're not cheap.
Mm.
Uh, I've not invested in 6th edition because I'm very happy with 5th edition. I've never seen the real need to go change editions.
Yeah, Hero Edition is Hero System is looks at editions as ways to tweak and codify different rules and whatnots, as opposed to completely rewrite the game system every edition like Dungeons and Dragons does.
6th ed actually makes some significant changes.
Does
some
it?
which I think
Okay.
are good, some which I do not. The core mechanics are the same, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't go into those now. But at any rate, we should actually get to the topic this week's topic.
Mm. Yes.
So, as I said, Jonathan Sims wrote in and said, since you've been posting videos of your campaigns for years now, how do you got... Dear Lord, it has been years.
I know, shocking, isn't it?
Oh, my God. How do you guys look at RPGs as a storytelling medium for non-players to watch compared to other mediums? He got to thinking about it as he realized that the D&D YouTube channel has at least 4 or 5 weekly shows that are just continuing game sessions. You know, there's Penny Arcade, and also he's talking about shows like Penny Arcade's Requisitions Incorporated, Geek and Sundry's Critical Role, have filled up auditoriums of viewers just to watch live games of D&D. Something that strikes him as a relatively new phenomenon. Combine this with multiple channels like your own who post all sorts of different games to watch sessions of, he realized that he's come to think of watching role-playing games as its own specific form of genre in a way, separate from actively playing them himself and different from TV or films. So, as people with experience doing this both as for a show and for private entertainment with friends, has it made you think about any of these things differently? And also, as people who have been a part of the gaming culture for much longer than I have has it felt like the culture has changed significantly by these recent trends? Oh, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there is. I can say that as far as as watching it as entertainment on its own, it's kind of like Let's Plays or watching people stream video games.
Right.
Like it is very much in that sort of same genre. One that I don't entirely grok, but I do indulge in on occasion. I've never considered like the audience when I'm role playing on stream or for Peter's shows.
Right.
Like I am doing what my character is doing, and I've always approached role playing games from a narrative perspective.
Right.
And I will cram the rules and bend and twist and shove them in to the concept I have.
Right. Yeah, I will say, I actually don't... I will say, it's interesting, there are a number of... having seen some of what goes on, what's been going on with tabletop RPGs on sort of, that are being streamed or recorded for channels and such, there's an interesting mix I've seen over the years, and this is actually similar to, I think it's similar to sort of the way video game streaming's changed over the years also. Most of the early tabletop games that you've seen streamed were just literally streams of people role-playing. Just playing RPG the way they would play them at a friend's house on a table, around the actual table. That is predominantly the way, and that's predominantly the way video game streaming started off. It was literally, I'm playing the video game the way I would play it, and there's an audience there that I might or might not interact with.
Right.
And that is entirely the way both of them started off in that same place. So, like the early Acquisitions Incorporated stuff that the Penny Arcade guys did with Scott Kurtz from PvP and eventually Will Wheaton. That's literally just a bunch of guys playing D&D. Like, there was no thought about handling things differently because they were being watched or listened to in the case of Acquisitions Incorporated. And for the most part, I would say 90% of the RPGs I'm aware of out there that have been streamed are like that. Though there is this sort of growing trend of ones that are structured more like I guess you could say they're structured more like sort of directed improv theater almost, which is directed and improv are a little sort of, counteractive, sort of, it's sort of an
Mutually
oxymoron.
exclusive?
It's sort of an oxymoron, but
Right.
like there's a structure and an overarching story that the plot that the game master has. And this is true for any RPG. There's a lot of improv theater in RPGs, just in general.
Yes.
But there has been sort of, I think, an uptick in campaigns that are even more focused on being a narrative storytelling experience rather than a tabletop game. If you know what I mean, it's
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
they're much more conscious of the fact that they're not just playing. It's not just them playing a game and they happen to have an audience. They are performing for a game for an audience. And it's more about the narrative and the story and the characters than it being a game on the side. And I think it's interesting because there are a bunch of video game streamers who are doing stuff. There have always been video game streamers who are basically playing a character.
Right.
They
have an on-screen persona.
They have an on-screen persona. Yeah, there have been a bunch of them over the years, and a lot of them and some of them do particularly wacky antics to entertain their audience. I'm not a fan of most of those. Not generally my cup of tea type thing, but hey, there are plenty of people who enjoy it. They're welcome to do that. That's great. I think the sort of the podcasty version, the ones that almost end up being like a podcast show as opposed to a tabletop game. I mean, it's still a tabletop game, like definitively. But they tend to be a lot more sort of. They tend to even if they're playing like an actual sort of actual tabletop game. Like there are a couple. There's at least one I can think of that is they're playing D&D 5th edition.
Right.
But they're really not that focused on the actual rules, which is fine. That's great.
Sure, I played in plenty of games where the rules were secondary to what makes sense narratively.
Absolutely. Like Lord knows, I like in a lot of the GURPS games, especially a lot of the GURPS sci-fi games I've run, I've basically said, yeah, there are actual official rules for how combat works. Fuck that. Roll dice, and we'll figure out what the fuck's going on.
Bardic, that is high praise. He says, Eric, that makes you better than many of the others out there who seemingly go out of their way to be wacky when on camera.
Yeah, there are several, and as I said, there's an audience for that, so I get why they do it.
There's an audience. It's what it's their audience, and it's what their audience expects, and that's cool. You do you, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not something I consider when I'm gaming on stream. I don't worry about the audience. I cuss. I make dirty jokes where I deem appropriate. No one else deems appropriate.
No, as I said, the games I've been running, I strictly, I do not change a goddamn thing for taking into account that I have an audience.
Right.
These are the game. This is the way. Like you can. I'm certain you can speak to this. The games I run on stream are no different than the way I run games.
No. There's slightly less random digressions, often in the middle of fucking nowhere.
We are more focused, yes, on gaming.
We're generally more focused on stream than in meet space, but it's largely because there's not as many distractions directly in front of you.
Right. And I'm glad of that. I prefer that.
But don't you want to hear me go off on a ranting lunatic screed about lizard people in the Hollow Earth because I happened to notice that on someone's bookshelf?
Before we start game, sure. But yeah, no, I do think that there's definitely a lot to be. There's a lot to be said for both methodologies. I think.
Yeah.
As an example of one that is more focused on providing a story and characters for an audience. One of the guys in the games we run, Skitch, is involved in one. That's more on the other end of things, along with another friend of mine who played in the first game I ran on stream. That I streamed the Shadowland campaign. Chris Rolo T. Chris Larios. They're in a campaign. It's called Dice Funk, and it's the bits I've listened to.
Popping up on my suggested stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that Skitch and Rolo T are in that.
Okay.
It's fun. It's different from it. Again, it's very clearly a D&D game, but their game, I don't know what the current one is. I'm not sure it's actually D&D anymore. I don't know.
Right.
Again, I don't follow Dice Funk closely. I've only listened to bits of it because Skitch is involved. Skitch is a friend of mine.
Right.
Rolo T is in it. Rolo T is a friend of mine. Of course, I'm going to check out something they're involved in. I mean,
I knew they had another one. I wasn't aware it was Dice Funk, which keeps on like popping up as like, you watched Renegade Cut. You watch these things. You should watch this. Okay.
Dice Funk, I believe, is on YouTube, and they also recorded it as an audio podcast, I believe. But yeah, check that out if you just to see what I think is, at least my opinion from the bits I've seen of it, a well done example of a more narratively focused game that's more focused on it being a narrative and not a game. It's still a game, very clear. This is not just improv theater, though that would be fucking awesome too. Like seriously, that, dear God, yeah.
Yep, it's definitely my birthday. My entire family is starting to send me happy birthday texts.
But yeah, so yeah, and happy birthday to Eric. Today is his birthday. Yes. So yeah, at any rate, there's definitely, as I said, we personally don't approach things differently. And I think that's because I do approach it as I'm running a game online with my friends.
Right.
Sure, what the hell, I'll put it on stream. If people are interested in watching it, sure, great. But I'm not going to change things to make it more interesting to more people. That's not what I want to do. That would make it less fun. I think that for us, that would make it less fun
for us.
Yeah.
Like there's exactly the right amount of fluff and crunch when we're doing these online games, and I played both very crunch heavy and very fluff heavy games, and I get slightly annoyed with both. Crunch being rules heavy, fluff being narrative heavy.
Yeah,
for the uninitiated.
Yeah, both Eric and I have a. I think I'm.
You're more crunchy than I am. I'm more fluffy than you are.
Yeah. There's, I believe we mentioned this before. There's sort of a sort of three-way sort of breakdown of sort of the way to look at RPGs. In that there's narrativist, simulationist, and gamist. I'm more towards sort of the gamist. I'm sort of more towards the gamist narrative side of things, with a little bit of simulation, but with basically, if you form it's basically you can form a triangle and move a dot around within it to sort of
Yep.
And usually, I'm sort of more towards the gamist side, and a bit more, and then a little bit closer to narrativist than simulationist. But as in my preferences and the way I tend to do things.
Yeah, I'm more. Simulationist doesn't matter unless that's part of the genre of the game. You're going for a very simulation heavy type. It's a very simulation heavy genre. Like say, you're doing a super gritty cyberpunk game, for example. That's part of the genre. Cool. Okay. But yeah, narrative trumps all that bullshit as far as I'm concerned. But not too much. Like Jesus Christ, like. But I should be able to do that because my character studied under vampire dragons from the fourth plane. It's like, but you're not a vampire dragon. Yes, I am. Or the other end of it, but I shouldn't be able to do that. I'm just a waiter. I don't care if you're just a waiter. You're fucking like fighting space zombies. You pick up the fucking blaster. So yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a case for me. It's the narrative is important for me. Do not get me wrong. Like but I do have a slight preference for mechanically gamist games in general.
Yes.
Like I really care about game balance in RPGs.
I actually agree with you there. I care about game balance because a poorly balanced game will leave people feeling left out and
I agree.
And weak, and that's you shouldn't ever feel weak and useless in an RPG unless you're looking for that specific experience.
Yes, I agree with you with that. I know people who I know a bunch of people who are perfectly okay with that, no matter what
and that's
the genre
cool.
is.
That's what they're looking for. Cool.
Yep.
I will happily play with them. That's fine.
Yep.
But at the same time, I shouldn't try to build if I'm trying to build a badass ninja sorcerer and find out that combining the ninja class with the sorcerer class ends up completely gimping both of them. And having nothing but like buyer's remorse for the rest of the rest of the game. So,
yeah, and that's going to happen in almost any game. That there will be combinations where that happens,
and then you'll be annoyed and you'll try to rebuild. If the game master is any good, he'll let you try to rebuild the character as long as it stays in the same concept of what you want him to do.
Yep.
Using other
absolutely. Hello, Eric?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
I'm sorry, you sound like you cut out there for a second.
Maybe I did. I don't
know. Anyways, but yeah, as long as you're trying to stick within as long as you're staying within the same concept as a general rule of thumb, or worst case, oh god, this character concept is not working. Can I just write this character out and I switch characters to something that I think I'll enjoy?
Yeah,
like that's fine. That'll come up from time to time.
That'll happen, especially when people are experimenting with a new system.
Yep.
Or just going way outside their comfort zone, and that's fine. Cool.
Yep. But yeah.
But like, as far as it like changing the role playing game zeitgeist as a whole, like it's made it a lot more approachable for people and stripped a lot of the stigma from it.
I would agree with that.
Like, Jesus Christ, when I was in high school, D&D was admitting you played D&D, it was synonymous to social suicide.
I was already a colossal nerd, so it didn't really have
same here. So I was like, fuck it, yeah, I play D&D, screw you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely more approachable. It's definitely, like there are a lot more people who are willing to check it out at this point, honestly.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of the stigma has been removed, and it's no longer like social suicide. Part of this is because like several respected celebrities have come out and said, "Yeah, I love D&D."
Yep.
Part of this is also because it's no longer this sort of like bizarre, nebulous thing that you maybe heard of from that particularly insane Chick Tracks.
Oh my god! What was that? Darkest Dungeon?
Something like that. It's fucking. I remember reading that and going, "Holy crap! Where can I find a D&D game like this?"
Dark Dungeons. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Holy crap! Sex, drugs, and rock and roll in my D&D game.
Oh my god! That is just like, dear Lord, God, Jack Chick. God, that guy's a lunatic. But yeah, no, D&D definitely, like, role-playing games have always, they're definitely more than mainstream, they're definitely more accepted now. There's been the one thing I have noted is this has always been the case, and it's a case of any fandom to a large degree, but it's kind of unfortunate, is there's definitely there's a fair bit of gatekeepering going on by, sort of the longer-term gaming nerds.
Yeah, and with any fandom, particularly reviled fandoms, shall we put it, like ones that are looked down upon and get you ostracized for liking it. There's a certain amount of you didn't pay your dues kind of feeling.
Yeah,
and I kind of understand that resentment, but dude, put it back where it belongs, which is like the back of your fucking brain for your therapist to deal with.
There's
more people playing games is good for everyone who wants to play games.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like, dude.
If the thing I like is popular, that's awesome. That means it's making more money, which means more of the thing I like.
Yep, and it means that there are more people to play the games with.
Exactly.
I might not like all of them, but whatever. Like, God,
so part of me goes, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but much bigger part of me goes, dude, fucking get over it. More shit for everybody. There's not a finite amount of Dungeons & Dragons to go around.
No, Jesus Christ, no, there isn't. And also, it's really been interesting to me that there are a lot of people there are people I know I've met. I wouldn't say know them very well, who who are sort of very gatekeepery, and who these are the same people who for a long time were lamenting the fact that they were sort of that there weren't enough people to play the games with, like,
right.
And B, it's like, that they were that they felt ostracized. It's like, okay, dude, if you're gonna say that you want more people to play the game with, you want this to be a more mainstream thing. When that happens, don't be an asshole and try to keep people out from doing it.
Yeah, but before they got to wear it as like a badge of honor, like a battle scar.
Oh God.
But if you could not tell her, that was dripping with sarcasm.
Oh God, I know.
But as I was saying, yeah, the fact that there are more people willing to give it a shot, more people that with an interest in it, and the fact that it's not going to get you beaten up by the jocks at your local high school anymore.
Well,
as far
it
as
might.
I know.
It still might.
It might. I don't know. I've been out of high school for 20 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it should.
It shouldn't. It never should have. But
it never should have. But yeah, what I'm saying is Big Bang Theory, as terrible as that show is, has a big following.
Yeah.
It's a terrible show, but
yeah.
And the whole geek chic thing.
Yep.
Now, people love Star Wars. People are excited about Star Trek. Well, maybe not Star Trek so much, but which saddens me. But then again, look what they've been doing with it.
Beyond was actually decent.
Yeah, Beyond was pretty decent. I mean, Abrams and Orky had shit the bed at that point, but Beyond was decent.
Yeah, and from everything I've heard, Discovery's gotten a whole lot better.
I need to watch Discovery. I'm just not prepared to deal with the paywall.
Yeah, me neither. That's my issue.
That's my biggest problem. I would give Discovery much bigger. I would be all over Discovery weren't for the fucking paywall.
I'd be willing to give it a shot if I didn't have to pay for yet another streaming service. That basically, I would only be paying for it to get that one show.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
basically.
CBS. Fuck you.
And that's the thing. I might even consider if they had something to offer other than just Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. At least not for me.
At any rate, back to topic at hand.
Yeah.
I think also, the one other thing the really interesting thing for me, honestly, in sort of looking at the sort of the gaming culture and zeitgeist of tabletop role-playing games, is for a long while, early on, D&D was the 800-pound gorilla, 900-pound gorilla in the room.
Yes.
It dominated it completely dominated the landscape. And we talked about
Dungeons
role-playing
Dragons was synonymous with role-playing. They were largely used interchangeably.
Yeah, and
and I still occasionally do that for laymen.
Right. But the interesting thing is, over the course of time, there were a lot more role-playing games, and they sort of, and it became a much broader genre.
Yes.
And D&D was not as synonymous with role-playing games as it had been in the past. With the one big thing I've noticed is with the popularity of broadcast games, the vast majority of which are Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition or 4th edition before that. It's gone back to D&D stayed back to being 900-pound gorilla in the room. Like,
yeah,
like in terms of just the zeitgeist, not for like people who like. Once you actually get into role playing, you start finding out about other systems. That's just what happens.
That's just going to happen.
But for example, like for the stuff when I streamed the games on Twitch, there is no tabletop role playing game category in terms of for games. There is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
there is no tabletop role playing game category or any other. There is no other RPG category. There is Dungeons and Dragons. There might be. I would not be shocked if they actually introduced Star Trek Adventures because Geek and Sundry has the Shield of Tomorrow RPG.
By the same token, like, but by the same token, like, the whole Fantasy Flight's whole Star Wars system, like, that's massively popular, despite the fact I haven't had a chance to play it. Mm-hmm. Not bitter or anything. That's massively popular. That's the other big one. Like, Fantasy Flight is really, like, sort of kicked the door in the gaming industry and jumped in and said, "Check out my dick," to be as crude as possible. And they kind of have the right to it. Like, from what I've read of Edge of the Empire, the book I actually own, it's a solid system. Mm-hmm. X-Wing for tabletop war games, it doesn't suck. They just put out Star Wars Legion for your ground pounding tabletop wargaming. Yeah, Fantasy Flight's kind of knocking out of the park. Cool. They're kind of Neo White Wolf. We'll see if they blow themselves up the way White Wolf did.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, as I was saying, but right now, like as I said, in the zeitgeist, it's done. Like when you talk about role play, people talk about role playing games online. Like in terms of for the mass culture, it's D&D right now.
Yeah.
Which is someone who, while I like D&D, it's not in my top 5 favorite systems.
Yeah, it's like
it's like
Tuesday nights. Like I play in a Shadowrun game.
Yep.
With some friends in Meat Space, and when I leave for work to go there, they're like, sometimes people ask me, "What are you up to tonight?" "Oh, I'm off to my D&D game." So, "Oh, you play Dungeons and Dragons?" Well, yes, it's not actually Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a tabletop role-playing game. It's just easier to call it. To tell you Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, okay. I understand Dungeons and Dragons. I don't understand Shadowrun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, totally. I mean, because people know, like, at this point, it's A, it's been 900-pound rule in the room, and B, D&D has been around since goddamn 1970 whatever.
Yeah, it's the fucking granddaddy. It's the progenitor of the entire genre of entertainment.
So, people know what Dungeons and Dragons is, even if it was the big sort of social pariah thing. You still knew what it was.
Yeah, like people do what fucking Lord of the Rings was. People knew what fucking Star Trek was. Mm-hmm. Even if they never bothered to read or watch it.
Right, exactly. So yeah, but yeah, I do think that's one of the biggest changes I see in game culture is the resurgence of Dungeons and Dragons. And like it's D&D is I'm kind of baffled by how popular 5th edition is, which from what I've looked at it, I've actually had a chance to look at it a bit after its beta, which I was not impressed with. Dear God, they've improved it immensely since the early playtest stuff I read over.
Cool.
It's much better now, but I don't get why it's taken off the way it has.
Good marketing and name recognition is
that's a large part of it, I think.
I reserve judgment on a game system ultimately until I've played a few sessions.
Sure, I can understand that.
Edge of the Empire just praises having a solid system. I don't know that for sure. I haven't
Sure.
actually played the fucking game. And I won't be able to give you a decent assessment until I've killed a half dozen huts and wallowed in their blood. Well, probably not wallow in their blood. That's not very Star Warsy.
Wait, what?
But
Run that by me again, Eric.
I won't be able to give a decent assessment of Edge of the Empire until I've killed a half dozen huts and wallowed in their blood. But probably not wallow in their blood because that's not very Star Warsy.
Yeah, I'm baffled that you're the one actually saying that.
Well, generally there isn't a lot of blood in Star Wars. I'm sorry.
You're completely right, Eric. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just nice to hear you say it.
It's a lot more charred corpses in Star Wars. Have you tried getting like rendered ash out of your clothing? It's a pain in the ass.
Oh my god. So yeah, I do think that it's, but yeah, running the online gaming thing, the other big thing about the online, like playing the games on stream and such, and I think it's made it clear by doing that and letting people watch that, it's made it clear to a lot of people that it's actually pretty easy to get in. It's pretty easy to play a tabletop role-playing game online.
Yeah.
Which makes it much easier for people to actually get into a game.
Yes. One of the people in my Shadowrun game actually telepresences via. We were doing Skype for a while, and now we're doing Google Hangouts because our host has this giant bug up his ass about Discord that I don't quite understand. But
whatever.
We're doing it via Google Hangouts right now, and it makes sense because he's our hacker.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's it. But like seriously, it's really interesting. So it's made it much easier for people who've always people who've been interested in the concept of playing, D&D or any other RPG, and never just been able to find didn't have a friendly, didn't have a group of people they could actually play with.
Yes.
Or just didn't have the time to travel. Like not having to travel to the game is
Jesus Christ! It's so fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Being able to play our game without any pants on while smoking is amazing.
You can just sit down at your computer, pour yourself some bourbon, fill your pipe, and play.
Exactly, it's great. I mean, when I'm over at Chris and Hannah's, they feed me, and Hannah's an excellent. Both Chris and Hannah are excellent cooks, so.
Well, that's a plus. Oh my god! But yeah, seriously, that level of just being able to just play is, it's just really nice. I really do appreciate that. I mean, I do enjoy playing in meat space with my friends also, because it means that A, it gets me out of the apartment. B, I get to actually directly interact with my friends. I mean,
yeah. And there is something to be said about being able to roleplay with an expression.
Yes.
The amount of dirty looks I've shot people in character in Meat Space that I can't do over the online.
Yeah, well, yeah, because for our game we don't have cameras set up for it, so
Right. And then I'd have to put pants on.
Yeah, fair point. But yeah, it's definitely. I do think it's definitely been good for the hobby overall. I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's made it more accessible. It's made it, and again, especially the groups, the big groups out there that are like on YouTube and getting a boatload of views. it's like Geek and like the Critical Role show, uh, Critical Role, whenever the Penny Arcade guys do Acquisitions Incorporated, there are a boatload of big ones out there. I will say this. What got me to check out 4th edition D&D, which I actually really like, I wasn't really that interested in giving a look-see until I actually listened to the first Acquisitions Incorporated podcast and got to hear them playing the game. And then I actually got to actually hear how the mechanics worked and said, "Oh, I may have to actually read these rules."
Yeah, because I remember you were evangelizing them. I was like, "Yeah, I'm down trying a new system. Cool." What do you mean there are no rules for half-orcs? What do you mean there are 2 different kinds of elves? This game sucks.
Yeah. And then they released Player's Handbook 2 and gave you half-orcs, Eric.
Yes, and then I was happy.
And, oh dear lord, they gave you half-orcs who were badass.
Yeah, the half-orcs are fucking great in 4th ed. I don't know what they're like in 2nd ed, or in 5th ed.
Mm.
I don't know. I'll figure it out. They're actually, I've played Pathfinder also. They don't suck in Pathfinder. They're like half-elves, but awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I've not played much Pathfinder. I played a little bit of it, and enough of it to go, yep, this is D&D 3.75.
That's exactly what it is. It is D&D 3.75, which is why my Tuesday crew was so into it for a while. It's like, oh my god, it's 3.5, but without all the bullshit.
Oh no, we still got a bunch of bullshit.
Had its own fair share of bullshit, but
Bart Dib's like, only 2, Eric? I thought you insisted half-elves count.
Oh shit, you're right. Forgot half-elves were in there too. So yeah, 3 elves. 3 different kinds of elves. Pseudo-elves, elf-elves, and the super elfiest elves that were ever elfy. Jesus Christ. It was like, let's make an edition that will turn Eric off instantly.
They had Dragonborn in there at least.
Yeah, sure. They were presented as like the total like. Yeah, they had Dragonborn. I've never actually played a Dragonborn. Which I know sounds weird, but
what was that?
I've never actually played a Dragonborn, but which I know sounds weird.
Well,
but...
Eric, you had access to half-orcs.
That's true. I had orcs.
Playing.
Orcs were right there on the table when we played, so I played the half-orc.
Which I'd reskin to an actual full orc, which made you even happier.
Yes.
I know this.
Orcs are the best.
Okay.
And I got some mega armor and a war bike, and it was cool.
You had neither of those things, but you had a giant fuck-off axe.
I had a giant fuck-off axe, and that's almost as cool. and I was a little pinball of murder.
Yes, you were.
I remember that session, just Will's like great weapon fighter and my like Blood Rage Barbarian. And we both look at what the other could do in battle and go, man, that's so cool. I wish I could do that.
It was cool. There was a lot about that game I really, really like, and like,
yeah,
watching the two very different warlocks that we had in that group. Like,
yes,
like they're both warlocks. They play completely differently.
Oh, geez, yeah. I actually really like Leland's character in that.
I did
thought,
too.
I can't remember his real name. We kept on calling him Cowbell. I kept on calling him Cowbell.
Oh my god, yeah. I've forgotten it. It's like
it's like Calandrill. Like, yeah, Calandrill or Calandrell or something like that.
Yeah.
Something very Celtic that sounded vaguely like Cowbell, so that's what I ended up calling him.
Yep. But yeah, he was. I really dug that. I dug that character build.
And Hannah's, which was more of a traditional warlock, but was she? She was the whole Star Pact, wasn't she? So she had the whole like old ones and weirdness going on.
I think so. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my glorious horns. You have no idea. Just check out these horns.
She was playing a tiefling warlock.
Yes.
But not an Infernal Pact.
Like polishing her horns and showing off her tail. It was great.
Yep. It was an interesting party.
It was not conventional.
No. Also, and Chris was playing the Drow Ranger hybrid Ranger cleric, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was something like that. Some kind of divine priestly class,
But with a bow.
but with a bow.
Yeah, I actually did have a party NPC dedicated healer, because you guys did not have enough healing otherwise.
I didn't need it once I got that the Silver Phoenix Rage. I was like,
Once
screw
per
you, I
day-
regenerate.
Once per
Whee!
day, that was the case, Eric.
That's all I needed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, for a long while, you guys were basically okay. We're going to win through just DPSing everything down before they can actually.
Best status effect is dead. Go.
Because Chris was before that playing half elf rogue,
Yeah.
so there
I
was
gotta
no
say,
party.
I really enjoyed like having him just feed people to the wood chipper that was my barbarian.
Yeah, that was I really dug the build he was. He actually went around. He designed the character to have a lot of repositioning power. So he'd like slide enemies, they hit
Yep.
enemies and they'd go stumbling across the battlefield in front of Eric's giant axe, or away
Or
from the
Will's
warlock.
war shovel.
Yeah, or have them stumble. Make sure they stumble away from Hannah's warlock, so they weren't melee with her. It was neat. It's like,
Yeah, I
no.
really like that character. I really like that build. Chris was just frustrated the amount of damage he could do, though. He wanted to be more spiky on the damage.
Yeah.
She wanted to be the wood chipper.
Yeah. Anywho, yeah. So, it was. So at any rate, that was definitely an interesting. That was definitely an interesting experience. But at any rate, yeah, I definitely that's sort of I guess our take on the whole sort of online broadcast games. I've watched a few of them here and there. I've enjoyed them. But as I said, I definitely don't really think about it being. I'm fully aware that we have viewers. We have more viewers than I actually kind of expect there to be.
I'm amazed we have viewers.
Yeah.
It always takes me aback when I realize, holy crap, I'm doing this in front of people.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah. No, that was definitely. I do think it's been overall it's been good for the hobby. I think.
Yeah.
Like
I said, it's made it more accessible, and I think that can only be good for it.
Long term, I definitely agree with you. There are a few. It's got there. Of course, there have been a few issues here and there, but what else?
Well,
Of course there are.
Yeah. There will always be issues.
Yeah. And seriously, guys, stop being assholes about who other people wanting to play. Stop it. Jesus Christ.
Don't invite some asshole to your game because you don't want to just to be polite.
Well, no.
You don't want to play with a dude. Be upfront about that, but don't be a dick just because someone goes, "Oh, cool, tell me about Dungeons and Dragons." Oh, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah. I was not just that. There are a bunch of different ways that it's.
Do you know how to calculate THAC0 in second edition? Who cares? I played a lot of second edition. I don't remember how. It was terrible.
There was a chart, and it just didn't matter. Who fucking cares? Second edition was terrible. Blah. At any rate, that's going to do it for this week, I think, guys. Normally, we save time at the end of each episode to answer viewer questions. I checked; we don't have any new ones this week, so.
Okay.
But if you do have questions you'd like us to answer on the show, we love getting viewer questions, and we do try to save time at the end of each episode if we can to answer viewer questions. You can email us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com. Or you can post them in the comment section on YouTube, because this goes up on YouTube after the recording. if you got feedback for us, ways we can make the show better, constructive criticism, we love getting that shit, guys. Seriously.
Yeah.
Please let us know.
That's pretty awesome. Tell us when we're being dumb.
Yeah.
And how to fix being dumb.
Yeah, that's the important bit.
That's the important part. Tell us how to fix being dumb.
Just telling us that we suck is not actually constructive. Just as an aside. Not that anybody's done that, but...
Okay, you think we suck. That's great. No actual analysis about why we suck, just that we suck. Well, I can safely ignore you.
Fortunately, we've not gotten any of that.
Cool.
Incoming trolls giving us "you guys suck" posts in 3,
Yep.
2, 1. At any rate, yeah. So email us, Twitter, hit or post in the comments. We love getting that shit, guys. If you've got show topic suggestions, things you want us to cover on it, that would take up an entire episode, we love those. They're so good.
Those are great.
It means we don't have to think up some topic at the last minute, and then Eric spends about half of it talking about cyborg dinosaurs. Now, mind you, there's a lot to talk about cyborg
Everybody
dinosaurs.
loves cyborg dinosaurs. I don't see why this is a problem. The only people that don't like cyborg dinosaurs are terrorists.
Yeah, but we can only talk so much about them, Eric, before we start repeating the same points over and over.
It's true. There's only so many times that you could say Tyrannosaurs with chain guns for hands are awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It's true, but saying it over and over again does get a little bit repetitive. But it also means that we can actually talk about the stuff you guys want to hear us talk about. If there's stuff you do want us to talk about, let us know. We really do appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
That's... we record the show on Monday nights, usually around about 7 p.m. Eastern, here on twitch.tv/mechagm. Come on by, guys. We really do. We love the live audience.
It's cool.
Yeah. That's gonna do it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If there's stuff you want us to follow up on that we're talking about on this episode, if this sparked a question, seriously, let us know.
Yes.
I'm interested to see where this discussion goes in future, honestly. And I'm interested to know what you guys think. Where do you think RPGs are going to be going online?
Incoming bizarre sex scandal in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.